Hello, and welcome to HCS Connects. I'm Kelly Gorel with Hampton City Schools. Today we have our Deputy Superintendent of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment, Dr. John Caggiano, with us to talk about all of the great things that are going on within Hampton City Schools. So welcome to HCS Connects.
Thank you very much, Kelly. It's good to be with you here today.
And we have you here because there's three big things going on. One that started about a year ago, but we really haven't had the opportunity because of COVID to sit down and talk about it. And then something else that's new, and then exciting news that's coming out this year in regards to graduation and dropout. So we'll start with the first piece. Is last year, the division, and you were one of the writers, you created a book. And I'm going to say it's called the Look, Listen, Learn, Lead, which is quite the title, but it's a district-wide systems approach to teaching and learning in pre-K through 12. So you were not the sole writer of this book,
Correct.
So tell me about this a little bit.
Correct, yes, so multiple authors, Dr. Jeffrey Smith, of course, our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Kate Maxlow, our Director of Innovation and Professional Learning, and then in collaboration partnership with Dr. Karen Sanzo, who heads up the Educational Leadership Department over at Old Dominion University. So really that book, you know, when we think about where we started as a division leadership team and as a school division back in 2015, 2016, and a lot has transpired since then. And I know Dr. Smith meets with his Superintendent's Community Council on a monthly basis. And I know the chair of that particular council, General Wallace Arnold, as well as some other members like Mr. Jackie Zell, in a conversation with Dr. Smith, were like, you know, you all should capture some of the work that's taken place and just from a strategic planning standpoint, debrief and celebrate some of those successes. So 6 chapters in the book. The first one really speaks to leadership for sustainable and systematic change. Then we get into culture and climate, a lot of the work that Heather Peterson has been leading for our division. And then curriculum, we get into the written curriculum, the taught curriculum, the assessed curriculum. Again, a lot of the work Dr. Maxlow has been leading. And then we kind of wrap things up with moving from really accountability to responsibility. So it's been a great success, and we've enjoyed sharing it not only with internal stakeholders, but folks outside of Hampton's walls.
Well, and this is pretty unique. I mean, we don't see a lot of school divisions coming out with a very thorough strategic plan that's captured in a book by their superintendent, their deputy superintendent, in collaboration with a university, a director within a school division. So this is a pretty unique, something to brag about. It really is.
Yes, and all proceeds for that, you know, really go back to the school division. And so just so we're clear there. But it's been nice, you know, we've had the opportunity in conferences, statewide conferences, for example, through the Virginia School Boards Association, to share some of what we believe are best practices and that we believe other educators can benefit from. And so in those presentations, a lot of collaborative conversations also, in the opportunity for other divisions to share with us. So we've been pleased at the progress and related to what's captured in that book, as well as some of the feedback we've received from those folks who've read it. And so I know some of us who work with higher education, and the book has been used in some classes as well to prepare future school administrators. So we're proud of that fact as well.
And this really kind of started, like you said, from that community council group that Superintendent Dr. Jeffrey Smith meets with each month to say, you keep sharing all the good work with us, what's been going on since 2015. It's been hard work, but it's been good work. So capture it, you know, archive this, get this down. So they were really the brainchild almost of the book, correct?
Yes, that would be correct.
Dr.
Smith would give them a shout out as well, yes.
But so from this book, has stemmed another very unique opportunity for Hampton City Schools, and that's the Instructional Tool Kit, which is pretty new starting this past summer. Tell us about what is the Hampton City Schools Instructional Tool Kit?
So the Instructional Tool Kit is really a mechanism, a vehicle for other divisions who are interested in some of the resources that we've curated in Hampton City Schools, and partnering in collaboration with us. So Dr. Smith, veteran superintendent in the state, and he has over the years the opportunity certainly to mentor novice or incoming superintendents. Last school year, he was working with 2 mentees in particular from smaller divisions, and part of the conversation was, you know, they were reading the book and having conversations about some of the work in the book, and they said, you know, we're in smaller divisions. We don't necessarily have the human resource capacity of a larger division like Hampton City Schools. Would you be interested perhaps in working with us and allowing us to maybe subscribe to your curriculum. And so those conversations really led to conversations with our team and within the Curriculum Instruction and Assessment Department about how would we present this in a manner that really would allow other divisions to benefit, particularly smaller divisions, from some of the hard work that our teachers and curriculum leaders and teacher specialists have been engaged in writing, for example, a very guaranteed and viable written curriculum. And so it's exciting. So we've got the curriculum piece. There's some other components that we can get into in reference to data. But basically, school divisions partner with us, pay a student per student fee, and they have access to our curriculum, which is housed via Google Sites. And so with that also comes training for staff and the opportunity for data analytics, academic achievement, non-academic data. So it's really blossoming into an opportunity not to benefit other divisions, but the proceeds from that. And this year, the revenue generator is about $115,000 this year.
Wow.
And those proceeds come back to the division, and really the staff who've been responsible over the last 5 to 7 years for creating a lot of these resources are able to, from a stipend standpoint, benefit from this initiative as well.
Well, and you made a comment about that viable curriculum. So, that hard work has been taking place again since 2015. And if I'm remembering correctly, we have over 200 curricula that we've rewritten and created as our own based off of, what is best in education, best practices that we've researched, that our folks have looked into and helped create that curriculum. And it's not just the curriculum piece, and again, please correct me if I'm not getting the numbers correctly, but 200 curricula in five years, that's amazing. And then the data piece of it, that we've got such a great team that has really dived into the data piece to collect, so we can really see gains and measures and where those achievement gaps are, to really hone in on an individual student.
Yes. So, for example, the data piece, and you mentioned the curriculum. So the state obviously has standards of learning, and there is an expectation for divisions to implement those standards of learning. But really, the standards of learning are not a curriculum. It's more of a blueprint, and then
Right.
Local divisions are responsible for taking that content and building a curriculum. And so what we've been able to do through a curriculum writing academy, Dr. Maxwell's leading that work, training our teachers, and our teachers continuing to enhance curriculum each year. As you know, we administer along the way throughout the year what are called critical skills assessments. For many of our grade levels, we do those on a quarterly basis. The data that we capture from that, Linda Dietz leads the effort to really slice and dice that data in such a way that principals and teachers are able to take that and run with it. So data-based decision making, sometimes there's an opportunity to go back and reteach based on what the data say. So those reports that we're running at the central office level, we're creating that opportunity for these school divisions we're partnering with, and we're actually either teaching them how to run that data for themselves, or we're doing that for them, creating a website for their administrators to access that information, again, for database decision making. So it really is exciting work, and it's, when you think about our mission of every child, every day, whatever it takes, it allows you to drill down to the individual student level to make decisions about remediation, reteaching, and determine student mastery.
Well, and every child, every day, whatever it takes, it's not just about every child in Hampton City Schools. So I can see the instructional toolkit, it betters us, it makes us better. There's always room for improvement. It makes us more on our game for young people. But it's also helping now collaborate with other school divisions that things are they're going right here. Our graduation
Sure.
rate's going up, our dropout rate's going up, our accreditation, we were 100%.
Dropout rate's going down.
It's going down. Whoops, there you go. I said correct me. I definitely said correct. We don't want that going up. No, our dropout rate's going down significantly. We were 100% accredited 2 years ago without conditions, where we were only 41% back in 2015. So the work is showing that we're going in the right direction. So by this instructional toolkit, yes, there's a financial gain. It's great. You said $115,000 so far off of this, in regards to, and we didn't mention this yet, but the enterprise fund. But other divisions now are seeing the good work and being able to implement that, and it's good for kids. So it's good for
Yes.
kids throughout the Commonwealth.
Yes, and we wanted to kind of, walk before we run. So this year we partnered with 5 divisions, and we kind of capped it at that. We wanted to make
Still a
sure
lot.
from a customer service standpoint that we were able to meet their needs as well. And, what we shared with the school board, another purpose of this initiative, and Dr. Smith, you'll hear him talk about iron sharpens iron, it's challenged us to rethink some things. So from a customer service standpoint, we've already made some changes that have impacted our staff internally, in addition to benefiting others. We're excited in November at the Virginia School Board's annual conference that Essex will be co-presenting to a number of different divisions who would be attending that presentation in November to share the initiative. So we're looking to expand it next year and work with and collaborate with other divisions. But again, it's not only assisting other divisions, but certainly helping us in the spirit of continuous improvement.
And Essex is one of the divisions that that we're working with. You mentioned we were doing 4 to 5. Essex is one, so it's really showing that partnership and how the toolkit's working for them, and that's the point of the presentation.
Correct. That's exactly right.
So one last thing, though, you mentioned $115,000. We created an enterprise fund because of the toolkit. Can you explain that a little bit?
Sure thing. So not to mix the pots of funds, right? The school division's operating funds, and this is a separate enterprise fund. So it's almost as if we're running a business on the side, similar to an LLC. And so right now, the beauty of this is that we've done a lot of the heavy lifting, right? So there really are no expenses associated with this initiative. It's really just a revenue generator, as I said. And so those funds, when they come in on an annual basis, will go back to staff who've, again, created these resources, and those individuals will be paid through a stipend. And so if we set aside some of those funds, then we're able to roll those funds forward each year. Ultimately, we believe the initiative can grow such that not only can we staff benefit from a stipend standpoint, but that we'll be able to hire some additional staff. And so we envision a time when we'll have staff strictly dedicated to this particular initiative, and particularly from a customer service standpoint, marketing, et cetera. So we think there are a lot of possibilities that lie ahead in reference to the Instructional Tool Kit.
Well, and we also mentioned, because of this work, that our on-time graduation rate is rising, our dropout rate is dropping, and that's getting ready to come out from the state. But we do know our data, and we know back in 2015, we were sitting under 88%, right under 88% for our on-time graduation rate, where the state was more like a 90%. Fast forward, and we're coming out with what rate for our on-time graduation rate?
Yes, so as you said, back in 2015, we were a little bit under 88%. And 2 years ago, we were right at 96.16%. And then we're looking and excited to announce very soon and shortly that this year we continue to trend in the right direction, and we're looking at an on-time graduation rate of 96.86%. And so again, for definition purposes, if you look at those students who begin high school as 9th graders and graduate in 4 years, we're very proud to share that number will be 96.86%.
And that's just not 96.86% for one particular group. That's an average. So you look at all the different subgroups that we serve. And I think that I'm most proud of our students with disabilities, because their graduation rate, and I'll let you say that, I'm not going to take away the thunder of that, is much higher than even just our average.
Sure, when you analyze it by student groups, certainly students with disabilities is a group that stands out. And they have a 99% graduation rate this year as a student group, which is a lot to celebrate.
That is a lot to celebrate. Right. So, back in 2015, like you said, we were below 88%. We were sitting below the state also. And within 6 years, we have not just, continued to grow our own, but we've leapfrogged the state. And we've got a higher percentage as of last year. And when the state comes out with their numbers, we're hoping to be ahead of the state as well. And then you look at our dropout rate. Back in 2015, we were right there with the state. We had a little over a 5% dropout rate, which, still not horrible, but we don't want any student to really say that they're part of that percentage. And last year, we were at 1.2%.
That's right.
State was still hitting around 5%. We were the lowest dropout rate of all 15 school divisions in our region. And then this year, looking at our dropout rate, again, we don't have state data, we don't have school data, other school divisions yet to compare us to, but we know that that hard work's happening because I'll let you announce what the dropout rate is for this year.
Sure. So we're excited for the first time that dropout rate is actually below 1%. So it's 0.34%, which is very exciting. When you think about, a lot of the work that's gone into that, I mean, there are a number of different factors, right? I mean, you think about, for example, the school board's expectation around student achievement. You look at our superintendents, expected student achievement outcomes. Of course, one of those is 100% of schools are fully accredited. Another one of those is and has been 95% on-time graduation rate at a minimum. So that surpasses that. We talked about the data analytics as well. Again, the work of Linda Dietz. One of the things we've done differently at the high school level is that often in previous years, you have a tendency to focus on seniors who are getting ready to walk across the stage.
Right.
With a lot of the data our administrators have access to now, and teachers and graduation specialists, we're able to begin having those conversations much sooner. So for example, our academy principals are working with ninth graders and already looking at graduation and requirements necessary.
Well, they make their 10-year plan. The academies at Hampton is also a huge piece of this, where students really are owning their learning. They feel connected. They're in that small, community space, and they have that 10-year plan. They have the support, and it's getting them through high school to walk across the stage. And that does not happen their senior year, especially because most seniors have senioritis by then.
Right, yes, and there's been a lot of hands in the pot, so to speak. I mean, you look at Dr. Haynes in the work and leadership from his office, the Office of Secondary School Leadership. You look at our executive principals, and you look at our academy principals, on-time graduation coaches, our alternative learning center, classroom teachers. My brother's in real estate, and he often talks about location, location, location. In this business, if you think about our mission, every child, every day, whatever it takes, it really is about relationships, relationships, relationships. So again, Dr. Haynes, and you'll hear Dr. Smith and Dr. Burrow as well, often talk about we are a school division, not a division of schools. One division, one transformation. And so there's a lot of collaboration and sharing of strategies and ideas amongst our principals. You look at the relationships that our teachers are building with students. There's a lot of work that a lot of stakeholders don't realize that takes place over the summer when you have students who just need a few additional bumps to push over the edge, right? And so there's a lot of heavy lifting also done during the summer months with our graduation specialists and classroom teachers, really meeting students' individual needs. That results, a byproduct, of course, are those phenomenal numbers, and there's a lot to celebrate there.
And it is not just academics, it is that climate and culture, which has been put in place since 2015, and all that hard work around climate and culture and social emotional learning. It's a whole package deal.
It is, and that's what we cover in the book. You can't just pinpoint one thing. It's been a systems approach and lots of plates spinning. And again, keeping your eye on the prize. And Dr. Smith always talks about, keep the main thing. And at the core of our strategic plan, at the core of our mission statement, at the core of our graphic in reference to the strategic plan, it's teaching and learning. I mean, that's what's our business, and that continues to remain our focus.
Well, okay, so back to the book. Where can our viewers find this book?
Sure, it's not quite yet a bestseller on Amazon, so we would certainly direct folks to Amazon. And if you'd like to just simply type in Look, Listen, Lead. And if you're interested in an autographed copy, I know Dr. Smith would be happy to do that as well as the other authors. But certainly we appreciate the support, and we look forward to continuing to share a lot of the good news that's captured in that story.
And then one last thing with the toolkit, where do we find information in regards to the instructional toolkit?
Yes, I know that your department oversees the website. I think there's some additional things we can do. We're not quite yet ready to go out and market that heavily, but someone could simply email me, and that's at jcaggiano, jcaggiano, @hampton.k12.va.us, and we can begin those conversations. But we are looking to work at the spring this year to begin marketing it more heavily.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being here today, sharing all the wonderful things that are going on. I know that you have been an integral part in that heavy lifting and that work over the years. So we appreciate, your dedication to the staff and the students at Hampton City Schools.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me on today.
Excellent. And thank you for joining us on HCS Connects. And remember, it's easy to stay connected.